So I've played and fully completed the new Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 DLC, Brushes with Death. Warhorse were kind enough to send me the entire thing about a week in advance. Apparently, I was their guinea pig in playing the expansion, so I want to give you guys a very quick and very concise review today. Let you know with no spoilers whether this DLC is worth the money, and equally important, at least in my opinion, the time. Plus, we'll also review the new free update that's coming out alongside the DLC, Update 1.3, which I've had for about a week as well. It's an update that makes some very significant changes to the game's combat, and also adds a couple of new quests to the base game, so even if you're not buying the DLC, the free update is pretty significant on its own. Let's talk about Brushes with Death first though, because, well, it's probably what you're here for, and I know what the big questions that need answering are, aka, how long is this thing, is the story any good, and in terms of gameplay, does this DLC do anything new, or is it just more of the same? Let's answer those questions, although before I do that, I do need to take about 5 seconds, literally about 5 seconds I think, to thank today's sponsor, who are PlayOn, the publisher of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and about a million other games. To be clear, they're not sponsoring this review specifically, they just offered to sponsor a few videos a while back, and I had one spot left, so as before, if you haven't picked up Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 yet and are interested, you can do so using the link in the description, which helps out the channel a ton. Okay, so let's get the potential disappointment out of the way first. Brushes with Death really does not do anything new in terms of gameplay, and I say potential disappointment because if you've seen anything Warhorse have said about this expansion, that's probably not surprising. From the beginning, they've said that the first DLC is a smaller one compared to the other two that are coming later, and if you're curious what they mean by small, well, this DLC is still significantly bigger than 3 of the 4 expansions from KCD1, and it's easily twice the length of 2 of them. All in, doing absolutely everything, Brushes with Death took me about 8.5 hours to beat, although it didn't really feel that long because for what it is, for what it's trying to accomplish, well, Brushes with Death does exactly that. It does exactly what it's trying to accomplish. There is a reason that all of the promo for this DLC has centered around 2 characters, Henry and the mysterious artist named Vojta, and it's because the entirety of Brushes with Death is about them. It's about Henry meeting this strange figure and getting all wrapped up in his story, in his dangerous past. If you've played Witcher 3, Brushes with Death is very much a Hearts of Stone equivalent. It's a linear story and character-focused DLC that puts Henry in situations that really push the boundaries of what you'd expect from this game. It gets very, well, let's just say Henry could easily be burnt at the stake for some of the things he gets up to in this story.
Did you not hear me? I said immediately.
Now, if you're wondering, there's basically no side content in this DLC. It's just one big, long quest that starts in the Trotsky region and quickly moves over to the Kutenberg map, which makes sense. That area has a lot of unused space, which Brushes with Death takes full advantage of. You do get some new equipment, armor, and weapons and that sort of thing, plus the painter character comes with the new cosmetic feature of being able to paint shields for you. You can do almost whatever you want with this feature, by the way. There are tons of options for the basic stuff, colors, and patterns. Plus, as you complete quest lines, as you visit new locations and unlock achievements, you'll also start earning emblems to put on your shield. Warhorse apparently went back and added these as rewards for base game stuff too, so in my case, where I started the DLC in a completed game save, I auto-unlocked tons of these the second the feature became available. They were popping up on my screen for about 5 minutes straight. Ultimately though, in my opinion at least, shield painting is a nice little feature to have in the game, but that's about all it is. I wouldn't really call it a selling point, but it really doesn't need to be a selling point because the reason to buy or play Brushes with Death is the story. That's the selling point. If you love Henry as a character, if you want to spend another 8 to 9 hours in this world, then that's the reason to pick this DLC up. I'll put it this way, if Brushes with Death were a side quest line in the base game, it would stand out as one of the very best, and if you're still on the fence after me saying that, this DLC is priced at $5.99. $5.99. I was expecting 10 or 15 after playing it. I mean, half of you probably already own the expansion, either from the Season Pass or one of the higher tier editions for the game, so the price doesn't really matter to you, but at $5.99, I can't imagine being disappointed in this DLC. As long as you're not expecting a sprawling, game-changing expansion, then I think most of you will really enjoy this one, and if I had to rank Brushes with Death against the DLCs from the last game, it would rank above 3 of the 4. Only A Woman's Lot has the edge for me, because the Inquisitor plotline was just that good.
And another thing. You have coveted thy neighbor's wife.
Oh.
Anyway, let's now talk about Update 1.3, which is free for everyone. It adds a few new hours of content to the game, and like I mentioned earlier, it also changes up the combat in the Kuttenberg region quite a bit, which I think is the real centerpiece of the update. The actual content, though, comes in the form of 2 quests in the Trotsky region, both of which are pretty limited in the story department. One just has you forging a new type of horseshoe, it's a 20-minute quest at most, and the other brings a couple of new activities to the game: horse racing and horse archery contests. There is a little storyline tacked onto these. Essentially, there's an altar near the nomad camp, and a disagreement arises over which type of horse contest the altar should honor. It's a little goofy, honestly, but Henry can ultimately resolve this very serious dispute by just giving an opinion after winning each competition a few times. After that, though, both of these competitions are just permanent, repeatable additions to the game. For the races, there are a bunch of different courses all around the Trotsky map, and for the horseback archery competition, there are different target sizes, target placement, time limits, all sorts of difficulty modifiers to shake things up. Ultimately, it's just a little extra activity to do, a new way to make money, and to level up a couple of skills that can be difficult to earn early game XP for. Plus, the competitions do provide some rewards in the form of new equipment for your horse, and a couple of little bonus perks related to archery and horsemanship. Really, the horse stuff just feels like a small bit of content that was missing from the base game, horse-based activities that Warhorse have now worked in, and something I'd really like to see in the future is a similar update for hunting. The first KCD had a bunch of little optional hunting activities where you dabble in poaching. I enjoyed those quests a lot, yet KCD 2 has none for some reason. All of the hunting mechanics are there, exactly as they always were in the first game. There are perks related to harvesting items from animals, even though the game never asks you to do that, yet there's no hunting activities. It's just strange to me. The core of the content is already there, so it seems like the kind of activity Warhorse could add in a little update sometime down the line. To wrap this video up, though, I want to talk about the 2 most significant changes patch 1.3 brings to KCD 2. The first is something we've talked about in the past. Shop owners now have significantly more money, so you can sell more to them without having to skip time and sleep waiting for them to restock. It's not a drastic change, they don't suddenly have 10 times the money, maybe 30% more, but it's a noticeable improvement and makes selling off a full inventory less of a chore. The other big change, though, is that Warhorse have rebalanced combat in the Kuttenberg region, and by rebalanced I mean, well, they've just made it more difficult. Enemies hit you harder, they tend to have better weapons, and most significantly, they have better armor now. Way better armor. It's very noticeable that enemies have been scaled up a bit, and pre-release Warhorse talked a lot about how enemies in the second map would be much stronger than the first, to message to the player that Henry was getting close to a big city, Kuttenberg, that would have fiercer enemies, but personally, I never really felt that, and Warhorse must have come to the same conclusion, that combat was just kinda too easy, because they've ramped up the difficulty. I found myself naturally feeling more incentivized to combo and stab, and to use attacks that I knew could get through the better armor enemies are now equipped with, which is a good thing. Incentives to actually engage with the combat and not just hack away mindlessly should be celebrated. Anyway, that is all for me today. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep seeing KCD content from me, consider leaving a like. It really helps my videos get out there. And if you want to see my stuff in your sub box, consider subscribing. I have some pretty big videos coming in the next few weeks. That said, thank you to my patrons, as always, for their continued support. Thanks to you for watching. Check out Brushes with Death if you want to. I think it's a very worthwhile DLC. And that's all. See ya.